Alright, so the other one that was fairly challenging on this assignment was the church window problem. So this was number 4. You had a church window that was fairly traditional shape. You had a rectangle on the bottom and a semicircular part on the top. Right, so you've seen these before. They have this kind of thing and then maybe a grid down here, right? So this is the kind of thing that we're looking at. We need to figure out the dimensions of this thing, so we're going to be looking for essentially just a width and a height of the basic shape here on the bottom, because the radius of this circle is going to be half of the width of the rectangular part. So the two pieces of information that we've got are that the area is 25.81 and that the perimeter is 21. So we need to figure out what formulas would be for each one of those. So I would say, instead of looking for a W, let's look for R, the radius of this circle. And then let's call this, I don't know, Y. So what's the area of this thing? The rectangular part is going to be 2R times Y, right, because it's 2R wide and it's Y tall, plus half of a circle, so it's going to look like pi r squared over 2. So that's what's going to be equal to 25.81. The perimeter of this thing is going to be half the perimeter of a circle, so if I take 2 pi r and divide it by 2, that's half circumference of a circle. And then what have I got from the rectangular part? I should have two sides that are length y, and then one side that's length 2r, because remember r is only halfway across the window. So that is what's equal to 21. So we're in the same situation we were in our other problems, as we've got two things we need to find, which are r and y, and we've got two equations that relate them together. So let's see if we could use one to solve the other. Let's see, we need to be able to isolate one. I would say in the second equation it's probably a little bit easier to isolate y. Like you notice, my second one, these 2's cancel out, so I've got pi times r plus 2 times r plus 2 times y is 21. So that means 2 times y is going to be what? 21 minus 2 plus pi times r. Alright, so if I divide by 2, I've got y equals 21 over 2 minus 2 plus pi over 2 times r. Alright, now same thing we did with the other problem. What we want to do is take this y and plug it back into the other equation, which is this one. So that means my area is going to be what? Instead of 2ry, I'm going to replace that y with a 21 over 2 minus 2 plus pi over 2 times r. Alright, and then I've got this pi r squared over 2. So this is 25.81. Now that's a fairly ugly equation in r, but what kind of equation is it? I've got a first power, I'll have a second power, I've got a second power. So it's just a quadratic with particularly ugly numbers. That's fine, we have a quadratic formula for solving quadratics with ugly numbers. So let's multiply this out. 2r times 21 over 2 is just 21r. 2's are going to cancel on this one, so I'll get 2 plus pi times r squared. Alright. And let's see, I'm going to get pi r squared over 2. All that's equal to 25.81. I can combine these two like terms because they're both r squared. So what's my total coefficient of r squared in this thing? I've got pi over 2 minus pi, so that means I've got negative pi over 2. I've also got this negative 2 here. That's my coefficient of r squared. Collect up your like terms, multiply it out, you'll see what I've got. Alright, I've got plus 21r. And I can subtract this 25.81 from both sides to make it look more like what we normally see as a quadratic. So that's where we are so far. You want to punch it into the quadratic formula? You're going to get r equals what is it, negative b, so negative 21, plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, so that'll be 2 times negative pi over 2 minus 2. Alright, now if you punch that in, I think you get two different answers. Let's see. You should get one that is close to 1.75, and you get another one that's close to 4.13. And that should be what your two answers look like for R. Now I think one of these works and the other one doesn't. Now once you find one, you know you can find the other one, right? So let's see, we have this equation up here that tells us how to find y from R. So if I know that R is 1.75, that means y is 21 over 2 minus 2 plus pi over 2 times R, which I want to say is about 6. And over here, what you get is y equals some kind of a negative number. I forget what it is. But it gives you a solution that doesn't make any sense because you have a negative measurement. So we can cross that one out, and it looks like the radius of our semicircle is 1.75, and the height of our square part is 6. So you can go ahead and draw out what your window looks like. Remember, the radius is halfway across. So this is going to be 3.5 by 6, and then it's going to come up 1.75 on the radius there. So that's how to get through that one.